All right, all right. So welcome back to Within the Rep. This is episode number 2. Today we have on Matty Coates, IFBB Pro, Canadian bodybuilder. He lives out on the East Coast, I believe, runs a gym, also does some RMT practice on the side. So today we're going to chat a little bit about standards and what that means for a high performer to train, recover, and stay grounded without burning out. So Matty's one of the few guys who, lives that life. IFBB Pro, he's dialed, runs a business. So we're going to get into things, bounce them back and forth, have a little chit chat. Yeah, super stoked to have you on. So why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself, what you do?
So basically, I've been in the game of competing for probably, I think my first show was 17 years old, and I'm 31 now. So it's been a bit, but been competing, been an entrepreneur since 18-ish, always worked for myself for the most part. Obviously oddball jobs here and there just to hustle and get a little bit more money. But from coaching, helping run a facility here now on the East Coast of Nova Scotia, massage therapy work. I've always been in the health and fitness kind of realm, never really dived outside of it. Did construction here and there, but again, nothing too crazy. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I turned pro, geez, what was it, 2026 now? So 2.5 years ago in Toronto. Since then, I had one pro season, did my rookie season, did 3 shows within that time period. Placed top 6 in all 3 of them, so that was pretty dope. And now we're gearing up for the second go at the pro season. So next show will be Toronto Pro, and then we'll dive into it. But yeah, we're about 20 weeks out now from first show this year.
Amazing. Yeah, I think I remember meeting you back in, it was the Toronto
Long time
Pro
ago.
Show, I believe. It was maybe 2019, I think.
Yeah,
And you were
18,
working with
19 probably.
you
I
were
think it
working
was
with Jordan
Omar at the
Peters at
time. But yeah, it was JP at the time.
yeah, JP, you were working with JP, right? Yeah, that's how we kind of knew each other a little bit because we were both working with UK coaches at the time.
Yeah.
So, and you
Who were you
still
with?
work with, I was working with Daniel Bastick.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Yeah,
a
no, I've
class.
been loving the UK guys, man.
Yeah, and you're with Kuba right now.
Yeah, we've been together 4 years, 3.5, 4 years. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's been a
How's
bit.
that been?
It's been great, man. It's definitely a switch up from JP's intensity, but Kuba's still intense. Don't get me wrong. He's a straight shooter, which is what I love, but his approach is definitely a little bit different. Like I haven't done cardio since day one of us actually working together. I can still
Mhm.
get peeled, probably even more dialed in than what I've been before doing cardio. So definitely some learning curves on a mental aspect of things, just not having to do as much, which just feels weird. As
Mhm.
you always think you gotta do more and more and more.
Mhm.
But he's a super humble dude, man. Like even when I went to England to compete, I stayed at his place with him and Meg. Was there for 1 or 2 nights. So yeah, man, love it. Super good guy.
Nice. So tell me, Maddie, what's one thing people assume about you that's completely wrong? Or is there anything?
I guess I used to carry like what do they call it, like a RBF, like just like a cunty looking face. Even like in like massage therapy world, people just didn't think I was all that approachable. But like as soon as you get to know me when we chat, like it's a totally different ball game. But aside from that, like I'm a straight shooter. I have nothing to fucking hide from nobody. I'm an open book, and I think anybody that has talked to me more than once kind of realizes that. Like even young dudes in the gym that want to ask me about gear, like that's their first conversation they want to have for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I'll have the conversation. I won't cuss them out or anything, but like I'll try and educate them to the best of my degree on whatever the question is had. But
Mhm.
again, I just think people think I'm a little bit closed up just due to the way that I live. But again, as soon as you ask me something, the world's your fucking oyster at that point with me, man. So I think it's just like a preemptive judgment on how I maybe look. You too, you got tattoos all over yourself. I got tattoos on my head, on my neck, everything. So it's just like the visual appearance doesn't really match with, the personality, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I'm sure you get
Yeah.
judged too having a bunch of tattoos, right? Like it's just like that stigma, I assume.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's kind of across the board with a lot of big guys, a lot of bodybuilders too, you know.
Yeah.
They kind of have that stoic mindset and they're kind of a little quiet and focused. So they might be perceived as angry or, whatever.
It's just
Most of the
stoic.
guys yeah, most of the guys once they open up, right? They're an open book and I think people respect that honesty, right? So,
Yeah, like even backstage at pro shows, man. Like, when I was in the UK, Samson came backstage with the trophy and everything, and he's a big burly dude, but like he's a fucking teddy bear. Like he was
yeah.
shooting the shit with everybody, like giving us props as we went up on stage. Like, you can't just judge a book by its cover at the end of it all, right? Yeah.
So on that like stoic mindset, do you think what's one standard you live by that most people would think is too extreme?
My wife would attest to this, but my schedule, man, is very rigid. And like I don't waver from it at all, which probably not probably it does piss her off. I know that for a fact. Like I'm up at 2:15 every single morning. Go do my steps on my treadmill outside. Once I do that, I do some client work and I'm at the gym for 4 a.m. Like that's just me. I've lived that way for years. And I think even when I'm done competing, I'll still have that, rigid lifestyle. And it's definitely, broke up some relationships in the past because they're like, oh, why don't we just go to the movies? And like, we can go to the movies. I just got to pack 2 meals with me to go. I got to bring my water with me. And some people just don't want to accept that, which is fine. But it's definitely like my schedule that would probably irk a lot of people's souls. But if you want to get anywhere in this game, you kind of got to do what other people aren't wanting to do if you're not genetically gifted, right? So I think that was one thing that pushed away a lot of relationships, you know, intimate ones and friendships in the past. And some were definitely chosen to be cut off on my end of things and vice versa. I don't know. I've like when I have a goal, I'm go, go, go. I'm set, man. And if you're not with it, that's fine. I'll find somebody else or kick you to the curb if that be a friend or a relationship. But
Hmm.
I want to get done what I want to get done, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have anything in there like what you do is, I mean, you're an IFBB pro, you're very dedicated, you're very regimented, but it's very extreme for most people. And I mean,
Yeah.
most people, even at just the base level, when they make
Mhm.
that transition and, like you said at the end there, like cutting people out of your life, that can be a very challenging move, right? But if you do want to progress, I think in any aspect of life, whether that's being a bodybuilder or being a successful coach or a successful
Mhm.
partner or whatever that is, right? You kind of need to make some sacrifices and
And that's it. And like, I know I'm not genetically gifted either. So I really have to do everything in my power to progress forward within my physique. And if I allow, one or two things to just get by, I'm not gonna be anywhere near the top. I know I probably won't be like a top 3 Olympian ever, but for me to even get to Olympia, which is the goal, I
Mhm,
gotta make moves that a lot of people just think are, like you said, a bit too intense or over the top.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Well, for sure. Yeah, well, I mean, you're at the upper echelon, and even I was saying, like, even at the very lower level, people think it's extreme, right? So what you're doing is so far past the moon, you're like into the stars, but you do what you do. If that's what you love, that's what you choose to do, right? That's all there is
Yeah.
to it,
And
right?
like this sport is extreme. Like I tell anybody that's new to it or thinking about competing for the first time, like if you're there for a participation ribbon, great, cool beans. I personally don't want to partake in that. But if you're here to actually try and, move up the ranks, it's gonna take a lot of being uncomfortable at the end of it all. And if you don't come out of, Zeus's asshole, you're gonna have a hard time if you're not willing to push.
For sure.
Yeah.
Where do you think you see people self-sabotage the most? I mean, you coach yourself as well, whether that's training or lifestyle.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to shift most of my business to like clientele that are competing. And I think a lot of people, I don't know if I want to call it sabotage, but they drop the ball in the off season massively. And I made a post about this just the other day, excuse me, that there should be no massive switch between your prep and your off season. Like the ones that have like this prep starts in 2 weeks, it's this big daunting thing. You are going to have a hard time. But like if you stay on the ball all year round, of course, you have off plan meals, you go on dates with your girl or your boy, whatever. That's understandable and it's needed. But if you have a whole different world from off season to prep, I think that is just one of the most detrimental things to those that really do want to move forward. Like your steps, food, training, water intake, sleep. Those are like five non negotiables for me personally. And for the clientele that are at like the national level that I do coach, or even some of the pros that I coach. And if you're allowing, one of those things or three of those things to just get put to the wayside, like you just fucked your off season, in my opinion, and you just got in your own way of making progress. You either gained a boatload of fat that wasn't needed, and it's going to be a big mental shift for me to get from that poor off season to a hardcore prep, which it shouldn't be hardcore at the end of the day. It should just be a little bit less food, a little bit of cardio if needed, or maybe your steps go up by 3K at the very beginning. That's really it. There should be no massive shift between the two, in my opinion, you know?
Yeah, well, it just becomes clockwork, right? It's either it's all year round and it's just another
Yeah.
stage in the process, or becomes this whole nother fucking ladder you got to climb because you've kind of created this mindset that the off season is something completely different when it's not. It's a time
It's
to stay just
not.
as much dialed, right? The off season's
Yeah,
where the
man.
progress is made.
Yeah. Your
Prep
prep
can
is
be
not where progress is made at all.
Yeah, it can be perceived as hard and challenging, and it is hard and
Mhm.
challenging, but it's a completely different part of the process, right? So, like, the off
Yeah.
season should be clockwork just as much, and creating that clockwork, creating that standard, everything just becomes easy. It's just another day
Yeah.
ticking the boxes, right?
It's Groundhog Day at the end of it all. And a lot of people don't understand that. But the people that do, they'll move up the ranks, man, and they'll do very well. And that's just an easy way to get ahead of the bunch because a lot of people do want to take off seasons to just, kick back, have 5 off-plan meals a week and do like it's not worth it if you're trying to, get somewhere. Yeah.
Motivation is it's like a weather system. It comes and it goes, but
Yeah.
standards is what, kind of sets the climate for the day, right? Like you got to have those
Yeah.
standards.
I agree. Like you'll have days in prep that are going to be hard. It's inevitable. Food gets slow. You might be having to do excessive amounts of cardio if that's just how your body functions. But again, like you set the standard in the off season, you uphold that standard throughout the prep. And then once prep is done throughout the next off season, you can gain 10, 15 pounds of tissue from year to year at the very beginning if you wanted to.
What's a training truth you believe now that you didn't really believe in 5 years ago? I think your training has changed. I do watch
Yeah.
you on Instagram. I watch you
Yeah.
train and, your whole kind of progress. But
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, like when you and I met, I was with JP. Then JP finished coaching, like he just retired from coaching and just went on with other things. Then I went back to another coach out in the States. He doesn't coach anymore, I don't believe, but big men's physique coach. And then from him, I went to Cuba. So JP and Cuba have similar methodologies, right? Guy in the middle, completely different world. And the methodology changes between, I guess you could call it like the three of them, but really just the two is the amount of volume, man. Like the most sets I do now per session I think is 13, as opposed to when I was with that guy in the middle. I think I was doing, I shit you not, 35 to 40 sets per session with like 30 to 40 minutes of cardio post workout. Like it was just absurd. But with that being said, just, and it comes down to, training age and how well you can actually connect with things in the gym. And obviously, those that are beginners, you might need a little bit more actual volume to get that mind muscle connection, if you will. But for individuals like yourself and me, we could just get in and attack it and get over and done with it. And that was one big thing that has really moved over the last 5, 6 years, I'd say, is just moving from stupid high volumes, thinking that it's needed to, gain tissue and gain progress versus, doing 10 to 13 sets per session and making astronomical progress. Since Cuba and I started, once I finished with that men's physique coach, I think from that show to my last show, we went up 42 pounds of stage weight. Yeah. Like it was just an absurd amount because I was over diet. I was doing way too much in the gym. I just withered away essentially. And I
Hmm.
looked soft and stringy on stage, right? Whereas opposed to, just utilizing solid sets, not doing extra nonsense, really is what was able to feed me in regards to gaining tissue. So I think
Right.
that was the biggest shift is just, I already had the mental game down. You tell me to eat dog food, I'll go eat dog food. I don't care. But from doing so much volume to just bringing it way down was the determining factor on the amount of progress I was being able to make year to year now.
And I know you have a little bit of a different approach when it comes to warm up sets too now,
Yeah.
correct? Or
I keep it very simple. Like I'll do like a little bit of primer work at the very beginning of a workout. Like I'll do one set of pullovers, for example, and one set of abs. If I'm doing anything upper body, might do a set of shrugs. So 5 to 10 minutes worth of that kind of stuff. But warm up work, I'll do maybe 1 to 2 warm up sets on like my first exercise. That'd be push, pull, or legs. And again, just to get like acquainted with the movement in itself. And then from there, I just go right into it. I really don't bother with anything unless, I feel a little bit mentally not there in the session and I have to go into like a leg press or a hack squat or RDL. I might do one warm up set of like 2 to 3 reps just to really mentally get stuck into it and
hmm
just feel the bar, feel the machine out essentially. But aside from that, man, I don't bother with it. And I think that
no.
too, when going back to your last question, the old men's physique coach that I had, he had me warm up on every single exercise. So like a leg press, he'd have 2 warm-up sets with 6 working sets. Like that's half an hour on a leg press. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
It's just
sure.
not needed.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with a low volume. I don't know if I could do that low warm up sets myself to kind of. I usually run one or two warm. I usually kind of just play it by feel, play it by like
Yeah.
how I'm feeling on the day. I don't really have like a set protocol for it. So like if I'm feeling super glossy one day, a couple warm up sets, good. But usually, even on my big compound movements, I like to run, say, my top set, 6 plates on a hack. I'll like do 2 plates and then 4 plates, but
Mhm.
and then go to 6. I don't know if I could just walk over and jump right on the 6. That would be crazy.
It took me a while to get to that point. Don't get me wrong. And there's definitely some days where I still do what you do, 1 to 2 warm-up sets. Like I
Hmm.
had knee surgery years ago, and like if the weather shifts, my knee just feels stiff. So on days like that, I'll definitely, plug in 1 to 2 warm-up sets on a big leg compound. But aside from that, I just don't I love the gym, but I don't want to feel like I live in it? So if I could be short, sweet, and effective with everything that I do, boom, I'm happy.
And what's like the most common mistake you see with like advanced lifters at your level, like making with training?
I don't know if I see like a common mistake, to be honest with you. Like even just chatting with some of the guys backstage, I don't think it's to do with their training. I mean, I don't watch them in and out, but I think a lot of not a lot. There's definitely a few that still kind of put their ego in front of things. And it's like, if you just lowered that weight slightly, and I break this down to my clients too, like you have the eccentric and the concentric movement of every exercise, right? If either the eccentric or the concentric, one of the two is at subpar execution, you lost 50% of that movement in my eyes. You know what I mean? Like breaking that 100% down throughout the whole fluidity of the movement. If you're just going, a third of the way down, what's the point? Like,
Hmm.
get uncomfortable, go a little bit lighter, and just utilize that whole grain of the muscle tissue as opposed to just trying to lift further if you physically can't fucking do it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm kind of going through that myself. Well, I'll just use legs, for example, maybe back too, because those are my two strong. I'm not the strongest pusher myself, but yeah, I'm super strong on legs. I can run like heavy sets with
Hmm.
like high reps, and I can do it with like proper form and good depth and everything. But fuck, I still always find myself like picking up little nicks pretty often. So now I'm just like kind of dialing back the weight and just like
Yeah.
been just like keeping the weight on the muscle even more, just like really
Hmm.
milking those sets, like really resting in the hole, really like driving through the muscle. And I get like
Yeah.
fucking crazy pumps and I get huge DOMs the next couple of days. And my legs are progressively growing week to week with this approach. So,
Yeah.
a lot of people fixate on progressive overload being being end all. And I think you should get strong at the end of the day, but
Hmm.
there's gonna be a fucking limiting point. Like, what are you gonna do? Keep stacking plates on the hack squat, 8
You
plates, 10
can't.
plates, 12 plates, 14 plates. Like, I mean, sure, you could, like, if you want to run like a JP style, but there's a huge risk involved with that as well,
Well,
right?
look how many times JP gets injured. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't think we
Yeah.
all know the true amount he is feeling like shit, because I don't think we all are completely honest about all the nicks we pick up, because, we want to perceive like we're fucking solid but, some things you cannot hide, right? So,
Yeah.
but
And the
with
thing
even
is, you have to make it hard, like what you just said. And there's so many different ways to progress. It's not just the load, it's the overall execution of the set, it's the range of motion of the set. And that's exactly what you just described, is making it physically fucking hard, as opposed to just thinking hard is, more plates, more plates, more plates. Depth, tempo, pauses in the hole, that can obliterate somebody at half the load, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're listening, don't get me fucking wrong here. You can make lifting a fucking 10 soup can hard on your delts in your kitchen. That doesn't mean that kind of volume or that is going to
Yeah.
precede any growth. I mean, when I go train legs, let's say on like a leg press, I would typically do 10 plates. Well, now I'm just doing 5 or 6 plates, but I'm milking the tension. The weight is still relatively heavy. I'm not backing off down to 1 plate and doing fucking 10-second eccentrics, So if you are listening, don't think this means, oh, I'm going to back off and, just do volume. You still need to train hard. You still need to grab the muscle with some, weight. So,
Yeah. No, you can't train like a pussy. Don't get me wrong. That's not gonna do any justice for nobody trying to grow.
yeah,
But there's safer ways to go about doing it as opposed to just stacking plates on top of plates, right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing a deadlift and you look like you're a fucking shitting dog, maybe back off the weight, straighten up your back, pull with some proper form and progress up from there, right? So,
And one thing I noticed that you do and a lot of guys do as well as myself, is just record your sets, man. You don't have to post it for nobody, but like self-assess yourself constantly. Because even myself, like I'll feel okay, I could put on, a quarter on, cool beans. I do that quarter, but I'll realize, the fourth and fifth rep of that set maybe isn't great, as opposed to when I had just an additional 15 pounds on. So maybe just cut it back a little bit, like slowly scale things too. It's not like 45-pound plates are the only thing you could utilize in the gym.
absolutely.
Mhm.
So I think we should maybe move on with that. And I think this kind of goes into our next one. Well, but I don't think most people are undertrained. I don't think they're
No,
can I think most people are undercovered and just like overdoing most things.
for
Do you
sure.
think most people train too hard or not hard enough?
I definitely think there's more people that do too much and get little out of it. Like I've had just a client that signed up probably about 4 months ago. Started He's a big boy. He's an open, like, heavy weights, like 280 when we started. We got him up to 300 pounds. But he was training 7 days a week or 6 days a week, something like that. And I straight up told him, like, we have to scale this back. Like, the amount that you do is not going to facilitate the recovery that you have allotted with just 1 day off from the gym, right? So I think there's more guys doing too much than doing too little for sure.
Yeah, I would say I would agree. Like I think people train hard, like kind of on the wrong days, and then they train like a bitch on the days that they could be really training hard. I think there's a
100%.
lot of confusion on, recovering and this grind mindset. Like I
Yeah.
often tell people like, well, I work with a lot of lifestyle clients as well, but if you're having a fucking stressful day, if you got a shitty sleep, if you're not feeling well that day, you got a bunch of random errands pop up,
Mhm.
you got to take your kid to the doctor, don't worry about training. It doesn't matter that day, save training for those days where you got a good sleep, you're ready to go train and you're fueled, you're recovered. Sure, there's different aspects of this if you're like an athlete in prep, I mean, but
Totally
for
different.
general people in off season, you progress when your body's recovered. If you're beat up and inflamed, stressed out, not sleeping well, your body's not going to recover. Your body's not going to grow, right? So
Yeah, man.
recovery's first, like you said, those non-negotiables. These things matter. Training is just one little aspect of it.
Such a small thing. If everything else is way out of line, select to you, bud. It's not going to work out.
Yeah. So, what does recovery mean to you now compared to like when you first started bodybuilding?
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely that kid that thought more was better in all aspects, more food, more training, more gear when I started gear, but that's really not it. And I do way less now in the gym in comparison to before, for certain. And now I do 3 days on, 1 day off, essentially push, pull, legs, rest. I've also done 2 days on, 1 day off, like upper, lower rest, upper, lower rest. And I think it really just comes down to understanding your recovery capabilities because, yours is different than mine, and mine is different to another guy and girl, and so on and so forth. And I think the only way that people that are working with coaches, allowing the coach to figure that out, is just comes down to good communication, right? And if that is not there and you're just going through your check-ins, "Oh, I feel great, thanks, coach." Like, it's not gonna cut it because your training is gonna stall eventually. Your body's gonna feel like ass eventually. But
Hmm.
if you can communicate it with, your coach or your PT, whoever you're working with, and just say like, I really don't feel recovered from that last leg session. And that leg session was 4 days ago. Well, A, your training volume might be too high, or B, your food is just not adequate enough. Or if you're enhanced, maybe looking into things that you could utilize to help promote recovery as well. But again, just communicating with your coaches is definitely something that a lot of people maybe pussyfoot around, if that's a decent term to use for it, because they think that what coach says goes. But what coach says doesn't always necessarily go because your coach is just going based off of your feedback. And if your feedback is shitty, he or she is not going to know what to necessarily change for you in terms of improving your recovery, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're a human, you're not a fucking machine, and all humans are different,
Yes.
right? So be
Yeah,
honest with
man.
yourself and be honest with your coach, right? If you can't
Yeah.
even be honest with your fucking self and you think you're like this soldier,
No.
unfortunately, you need rest too. And you can soldier on all you want, but you are going to hit a wall, right? So, and like you said, communication's key. If you are working with a coach, just communicate with them. Like, you ain't hurting nobody's feelings. This is only going to help further the progress. They have more data points. They have more feedback. You know,
Yes.
they have more insight into how you actually feel, what your day to day life looks like. You do have a mind. You have a body. You carry stress too, unfortunately. So, you
Yeah,
know,
man.
just be real. Just be real.
And it definitely comes with, what's the correct word? It's slipping my mind, but it definitely comes with time and knowing how to communicate effectively. I find
Hmm.
some of the younger people might feel timid to bring stuff up like that, or yeah, they're just maybe too timid about how to approach certain situations because there's that authority type figure of a coach. But again, it's only going to benefit you at the end of the day.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I just look at it like, if you tell me now, we could address this now. You wait
Yeah.
a week or two to tell me, or I even tell my clients, if something comes up, just fucking hit me up. Why you gotta wait 7 days for your check-in? You know, we
Yeah.
could have had this addressed. You don't have to suffer all the time.
Well, for example, I had a lady, we were pushing her into a fat loss phase, and she never told me until her, it was about 2 check-ins later, so call it 14 days because she checks in once a week. She was constipated for 14 days. She had 1 bowel movement within that 14 days. And I'm like, "You could have told me this after 24 hours of you not having a solid bowel movement. We made some changes. She's been having bowel movements every single day." I'm like,
Mhm.
"It's just that simple, you know?"
Yeah. And listen, people, if you are having fucking constipation, I'm gonna fix this for you right now. Stop adding fucking fiber. Stop adding Metamucil supplements. Go buy
Just
a bottle of
backfill
aloe vera.
going.
Yeah, just go buy a bottle of aloe vera inner leaf juice, 2 to 4 ounces of that, some prokinetics like ginger root tea. Like, these are gonna get motility moving and get you
Yeah.
passing. So like, you don't have to be feeling like shit and quit adding fiber. That's a complete bullshit myth. Like, go get some prokinetics in your system. Go get some aloe vera in your system. You'll be passing like nothing.
Yeah. It's
This
true
is a
though.
simple fix. I don't know. Like, you do not have to struggle with this.
No. But it's like they feel too shy to bring it up sometimes, right? But like any good coach will talk about bowel movements, menstrual cycles, anything like that every single day.
If you're
It's
not
part of
having
the
a
game.
bowel movement every day, that's
It's
not
an issue.
healthy. And if it's going on multiple days, you have literal shit bacteria living in you that needs to be expelled from you that's not going anywhere. So how do you think your body's gonna be feeling? Like shit.
Not good. Not good at all.
So what do you do when life is chaotic and you still want to show up? I mean, I know you have standards. I mean, I know you're very disciplined, but what does that look like to you?
I guess chaos for me might be a bit different, but it takes a lot to get me riled up, even to piss me off. I'm the type of guy where I just don't care. If it doesn't have to do with what I need to get done or what I have going on in my life at the moment, if it's something negative, I could care less. So in terms of, I guess when I'm just super busy, I'm a very like I said, a schedule oriented guy. So just making sure that my schedule from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep lines up in terms of making sure everything is checked off within my own hobbies and lifestyle, but dealing with whatever else is having to get dealt with. I think that's the most effective way for me personally. Like even traveling and competing, like I would be gone for, I think last year I was gone for a month in total just from the shows, right? And I still had clients competing on the same days that I was competing. I think there's one show where I had 5 clients compete and I was in a whole different time zone. Like
Mhm.
just making sure that you do everything that you need to do in terms of staying organized, I think is a very underrated aspect to life for certain individuals. You can
Mhm.
be as busy as possible, but if your organization skills are dog, man, you just setting yourself up for failure.
Mhm.
So for
Yeah,
me, it's
and
just
to be honest,
organization.
I think I don't think I really learned that at a young age. It's funny, I learned a lot of values inside bodybuilding and having coaches, but I think I kind of learned that watching those old JP videos when he was first putting them out, and the progression at all costs kind of motto, and
Mhm.
just ticking the boxes daily. I think he talked about that. But, you know, if you can set these boxes up for yourself to tick daily, those are daily wins, those are daily progressions. And that alone is daily motivation, right? So it kind of keeps the chaos at bay when you have that structure for yourself. You can kind of have your path through the storm when you have structure, right? So even when life is fucking chaotic, at least you still know, okay, well, I need to get this done. I need to get this done,
Yeah.
right? So,
I used to have a football coach way back in the day when I played, and he always used to tell us, because he get, young boys, you get frustrated on the field if something doesn't go your way. And he'd just tell us, control the controllable. Anything else that you cannot control, let it fucking be.
yeah.
Like, it's that simple. And I've lived by that motto ever since he's told me that. And I don't want to say it's life change. That sounds, a little hippy dippy, but like, it is such a simple rule to live by.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that's kind of what excellence really looks like when nobody's watching, right?
Yeah.
Is what you do in your own time. And if you have those daily non-negotiables, those daily like wins that you can call for yourself, like those help a lot, man. Like, and if you're going through shit or you're depressed, like having that structure is huge, you know? Like
Yeah.
it gives you a reason to get out of bed. Like,
Yeah. And if you don't have some sort of daily checklist, like you automatically have no reason to get up. You know what I mean? So like you said, having those non-negotiables, they're not negotiable. They have to get done.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, and I find this with a lot of people too. Like they become so fixated on their like work or career, right?
Yeah.
They kind of forget about themselves. They forget about their home life. They forget about their family. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just remember, you know, my grandpa, he's almost 100 years old and he lives on
Wow.
his own.
Wow.
He's a boss. He's so cool. But he even tells me this, and this guy's been working since he's young, right? He put in one of the first pipelines Saskatchewan ever had and started his own like trucking company like the first year after construction because possibilities, you know, there was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of possibility back then with the economy and whatnot, right? And he even told me this: you can't spend your whole life working.
No.
You got to enjoy your life. Like life's
Yeah,
meant to
man.
have fun, right? So
Yeah.
I see a lot of guys who fucking work 10, 16 hours a day, 6 days a week. And they're just completely beat up. And I'm, man, what the
Why?
fuck is the point? Why? So you can cash out an extra 1,500 bucks, 2 grand? Who the fuck cares? You feel shit all the time anyway. What are you going to do with it?
No, and you get to just get taxed on it anyways. So like, it
Yeah,
doesn't benefit
exactly.
you. Yeah,
There's more to life than just working away, you know? You gotta take time for yourself, right?
100%. I can't agree any more than that one.
It's a hard one. Like I see it a lot.
Especially
It's
from the
like the
construction world, I can imagine.
I think it's just like the world we live in now, you know? The world's moving faster and faster, like every day.
Yeah.
Every day that goes by, like the speed of things moves faster with the advancement of AI and technology and everything. Like people are working hard. People are working 2 jobs to stay ahead, you know? If
Mm-hmm.
you're not keeping up, you're gonna fall behind pretty fast nowadays, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's a mindset that like really like takes over a lot of people, you know. They have a hard time, you know, like taking a moment for themselves. Like they kind of forget about themselves.
Yeah.
What's something bodybuilding taught you about being a good husband?
Hmm. It's an interesting question. It's definitely taught me to be, kind of goes to what you just said, not working so much, but being present in a sense, especially in prep. It's a selfish sport. Don't get me wrong. It is very selfish to be good at it. And I think that's one thing that I realized in past relationships. And I've tried my best to improve upon that with, the more shows that I do, even if it just be me trying to be as simple as it might sound, asking my wife how her day was, as opposed to just being shut off because I'm hungry or I'm tired, etc. So I think that's one thing I definitely had to improve upon as a man and as a husband, because I've had a few relationships in the past break from me competing, but is also me being also immature at that younger age, where I'm just like, fuck it, like I'm doing this, da 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 da. But once you're a little bit older, you can't be childish like that, right? You have to realize that there's other humans in this world, and especially if you live with a partner, your fiance, husband, wife, etc. You know, remembering that they also have a day as well. And being mindful of that and just asking simple questions about how they're doing, checking in on them mentally, and being present at the end of it all is definitely one thing, over these last, I guess, been married 2 years now, but before that, we were together for about 6. So she's been with me now for five shows, 6 shows. And the first few were definitely, still that immature young Matt. But each and every show I've tried to do a little bit better in regards to that. So that's definitely one thing bodybuilding's taught me is be present and be, respectable of other people's emotions and just their day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there a moment you guys look forward together, like a moment in the week that you guys really cherish, that you set aside for you?
Yeah, we always do off-plan meals or dates together, man. Like, especially in the off season when, I'm allotted to have, 2 of these a week. We always make sure that sometimes she's busy at work or whatever, so I have one on my own, but that one on my own I just have from the house. I just make something different that's not on the plan. But we always make sure that, we go out and spend that time together. And have a date night at least once a week. Or even now that Stranger Things is on, we always watch an episode every other night or something like that. So it's just the little things, especially with us being in a small town. There's not much fucking going on here, which kind of drives me mental at times. But just, just spending genuine time together is really all that we do or try to do at least.
That's funny. I got this. It's funny. I got this written down here. It says, high standards without presence is just ego without a schedule. Very fitting to what we're talking
It's very fitting because it's
about.
true, man. Like you have to be present with, those that you actually care about. If it's just acquaintances, they could fuck off. It doesn't really matter. But if it's, close friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, fiance, wife, husband, whatever it might be, parents even or siblings, you know, you don't want to burn too many bridges, man, because
Yeah.
you're only here once on this world. And none of us, shouldn't say none of us, a very small percentile are going to make a career or good living out of bodybuilding, especially if you're an athlete and you're not coaching. You could become a phenomenal coach and make bank. But like you said, just prior to this, why work 15, 16 hours a day, make a killing and not be able to spend that money and relax and enjoy it like what your grandpa was telling you? Same
Mhm.
thing with this. Like it's different type of work, but if you're just putting everything into it and putting everybody off to the side and not giving a shit, they're gonna ditch you, man.
Yeah.
You're gonna have nobody to enjoy life with. You're gonna be a lonely bastard at the end of it all, right?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So here's some fun ones. What made you want to get your new tattoo you got? I know you got a new head tattoo.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it because my hair grew in, but I honestly couldn't tell you what made me want to tattoo my head. I always loved a headpiece, like a full like head, I don't know, sleeve, I guess you could call it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I've had like tattoo work on like the side of my head, my neck, etc. And especially here, like there's no good barbers. I'm like you, I shave my head. So I'm like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I might as well make my head look semi pretty. It's like, fuck it. This tattooed. There's a great guy down here that's reasonably priced and phenomenal at artwork. We just said, why not go to town with it? So I think we
Yeah.
have our session in February and do the rest of it up.
Nice. It looks awesome.
Thanks, bro.
What do you think the most overrated rule in fitness is?
Most overrated rule. Huh. I
I
don't
would
know if it's a,
I would say calories in, calories out. I think it's bullshit.
I think that's bullshit too, because or calories are just calories because it's definitely not the same thing. Calories from wingdings and Twinkies are not anything similar.
Macros and micros are not the same thing.
No, definitely not. So I would definitely agree with you on that one.
One non-negotiable you follow even when you travel.
Bringing my food with me. That's the first thing that came to mind. Airports, cabs, even just going out for groceries, even I don't leave the house without 1 or 2 meals. Is
Yeah.
that simple.
My non-negotiable is have a good fucking time because
Yeah,
that's what
it's a
travel's
good
about.
one.
That's what life's about.
It's true though, man. You have to have a good time.
A habit you'd recommend to anyone.
A habit I'd recommend. Ah, alarms. Having one fucking alarm, like, to wake up to. Like, I try and push my wife to do this. She has, like, 10 alarms, and it pisses me off. Like, I don't get it. An extra 3 minutes of sleep 7 times is not gonna benefit you one bit. So, like, legit, I have one alarm at 2 or 2:15. As soon as it gets on or goes on, I'll jump up. I have on the other side of the room, so I physically have to get up to turn it off, and that's it. Legit a non-negotiable for me. As soon as it goes on, I'm up.
Yeah, I would recommend people wear deodorant.
It's good. It's true, though.
Seems to be a common problem occurring more
Yeah,
and more often. No, on a serious note, I would say journaling. I think it's huge,
a good
especially
one.
for people who got a lot on their mind, a lot on their plate.
Yeah,
Gives you a moment for yourself, even if you do work 20 hours a day. Like, it only takes 5 minutes, and
yeah,
that's a good space for you to kind of give yourself that time of day, right? Get your thoughts out, whatever that
yeah,
is.
100%, man.
What success? What do you think you would what do you think you would describe as success? When would you perceive success in your life?
That's a deep one. People think about money and cars and houses and all that shit. But that's not really success in my eyes. I think success is being able to wake up knowing that you get to do something that you want to do, you know?
Hmm.
Um, Not going to a shit ass job that you hate in some slumdog dirty factory because you can change that, you know? You can apply to different jobs. You could go back to school. You could do different things, start up a business, shift, right? Pivot. I think that's success is being able to do something every day that you thoroughly enjoy that does not feel like work. Of course, there'll be some hard days, don't get me wrong. But to me, that would be success.
Freedom.
Freedom, mental freedom. You don't have to be financially free. You're not gonna make millions on everything, don't get me wrong, but mentally free. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
Mhm.
What's one thing you're working on right now as a man and not an athlete?
Shit. You coming up with some deep questions, man. One thing I'm working on as a man and not an athlete. No, I would say my listening skills. I feel like sometimes I just shut off, prep or not prep, like regardless of the time of year. If I'm just tired and I really, I don't want to say could care less, but for lack of a better term, could care less. I just feel like I don't wanna listen to nobody, and I know that's rude, you shouldn't do that, so I think that's one thing I definitely have to improve upon, is regardless of how I feel, if you're telling me something that you feel is important to you, just embracing it, I don't gotta respond back with some, methodical response, but just letting you voice yourself.
What's one thing you like really respect about people who do that? Like, why do you think that's something?
I think those that have good listening skills can benefit from being able to do that. And benefit in a way where you can learn from other individuals, if it be about any sort of hobby that they're interested in or skill that they are good at. It might not impact you that second, but down the road, you might remember what Johnny said about, the stock market or what Shannon said about how to fucking cook muffins. Like, it could be something so minuscule or it could be something massively that impacts your life's trajectory, right? But there's always something to learn at the end of it all. So I think that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to be more mindful of that. Or even just on a more simplistic matter of just being skillful at understanding people and where they're coming from, you know? Because that's one thing as a coach that is very important is understanding other people's reasons or whys or how they're feeling or what's going on with them. So that's definitely one thing I gotta work on. I'm good at as a coach, but outside from that, when people aren't paying me, it's definitely a skill to fix up.
Yeah. That's for sure. I would agree. That's something I could work on as well. I think a big thing for me is just why work.
It's a hard question, eh?
Yeah, I guess just I think one really big thing I'm trying to work on this year is just like respecting myself, respecting my time and my
Yeah.
boundaries. I think
Boundaries,
um
yes.
I give a lot out and I don't spend a lot of time on myself. Like we chatted about, I think this is a
Mhm.
honestly, I think it's a common problem in men, and we just like we kind of put a burden on ourselves a lot on our plate. But like I tell it to my clients, I should tell it to myself. But like, you gotta take time for yourself in the day. You gotta take those
Especially as a
moments. And I'm
coach,
not just
man.
talking about going to the gym. Like the gym it's just a fucking that's like routine for me. Like that's clockwork, right? So no, I mean like some separate time, like some time for my mind to clear, some time for myself. So that's probably the biggest thing I'm working on this year.
And I think a lot of coaches need to be able to learn that skill. Like when I first started out, man, that's definitely a skill that I did not have as boundaries. I'd respond to people in the middle of the night. If I was at a date at the movie theater, I'd pull up my phone and text and put it on dim. Like how I structure my days now, and I've probably been doing it for about 3 years or so. So I have set times where I look at my work phone. And I have two phones. The one I'm talking to you on, which is my personal, but then also my work phone. Like when I'm not working, I don't have that phone near me and it's always on do not disturb. So I'm not enticed to run to it when I hear it ping off. Right. So, like you said, having boundaries, a set schedule, and not allowing people's burdens to affect you
Mm.
is a big thing. I think a lot of coaches need to realize that you can only take so much. And if you allow it just to continue to build, it's going to be a rough go, man.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree. All right, all right. Well, here's what I'm taking from this. I think we learned like a lot about standards, a lot about execution. I think Matty here, he's a great example of
Thanks.
that. And I think we chatted a lot about recovery, what it looks like to, live that pro lifestyle and still like maintain structure, maintain that family life.
Yeah, it's a must.
Absolutely. And I think you do it like a pro, you do it like a gentleman, so you carry yourself well. Yeah, I think
Appreciate that.
you're doing amazing, absolutely successful. I think if this hits for any of you, send it to somebody who's stuck, stuck without structure, stuck, just grinding too hard. I mean, that's not what it's all about sometimes. You can always back off things, but dialing in,
Yes.
getting some structure set up is gonna pay off, with dividends. So
Yeah,
if you guys want more conversations like this, subscribe, drop a comment, and absolutely stoked to have Matty on today. I appreciate you
appreciate it.
coming by, my man.
Anytime, bro.
All right, all right. Well, it was good having you, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Take it easy.